Well, Darren, thank you as ever for joining me on game day. And God, these are getting harder by the day, the harder by the game. A new low has been set. 3-0 tonight against Northampton Town. The second 3-0 defeat against a relegation fighting side. Northampton, they can't score. They scored 3 tonight against Town. Your thoughts as ever, my friend? Town are 11th in League One as it stands.
It's just there were moments today where things looked okay, slightly better than average. Let's put it that way. But again, just every time we're in a position where we just need a good cross, find your man, pull it back, or none of the crossing was good tonight. I mean, Ward is the one that surprises me. At the start of the season, I told my son, who obviously had no idea who he was, said he'll be a great signing. He'll have quality. You know, he might not have the legs up and down, but he'll have quality. And you know, he had a couple of great chances to cross the ball tonight, and every time didn't work. And then short corners, man. What's going on with short corners? Clearly, that's something they've worked on in training because they did it every time. So, okay. So when you got Jackson and Sears, you know, we haven't got any. Okay, I get it. There's no big lads in the middle, obviously, apart from the defenders. But then when you bring Hawkins and Drinan on, and it's the last 10, 15 minutes, put the ball in the box. I don't understand, you know, because someone on the pitch has got to say, you know, screw that. I know what we worked on, but it's not working. We've got big lads in there now. Okay, put it in. You know, they scored 2 goals from corners. Great delivery. I mean, shocking defending. I'm not. I think McGuinness has suffered from not playing. He's not dominating anymore. Like, you know, he was always good in the air, wasn't he? You know, a good, strong head it and kick it type of defender. But he's gone backwards since he's been brought in. It's just dire. It's just dire. I mean, okay, I always like to make good points rather than just moan about stuff and go off on a tangent. But so the good points are Kane's come through another 90 minutes. So that's 3 90 minutes in
what a miss, though. What a miss. Sorry to interrupt, but what a miss that was.
Well, I always like to give the keepers credit. So it was a good save. It wasn't. He didn't miss the target. He hit the target, and he is a defender. Let's not forget. Massive opportunity. You know, and that was the one time where it worked. Good cross, and you know, we just couldn't. We just can't score. We just cannot score. So it's another game, and we're also another positive is we're closer to the end of the season. That's good. We're only 5 more games. Four more games to go. I mean, I'm a stubborn idiot, so I've watched every single game this season, even the friendlies. So even though it's awful to watch, I will watch the last 4 games of the season. You know, I'll pay my £10 and we'll watch it come, you know, just so I can tick a box and say I've watched every game. And also we're another game closer to those players who us as fans want to leave. It's another game where Paul Cook has seen them have an opportunity and not take it. So I mean, your man Guion, I mean, that's he hit the post. You know, that was. Can you imagine if that had flown in top corner? We'd have been going bonkers. So that was slightly unlucky, you know. But it's come on, the season's almost over. Then we can really celebrate. I cannot wait for the summer. I really, really hope that Paul Cook has had nice, reassuring meetings with Mike O'Leary about his future, because I can imagine it would be natural for him to be looking at these results since he's come in and be thinking, shit, you know, what if they get rid of me now over before the summer? Because it's not happening. So I'm hoping that I think most of the fans are behind Cook. You've got to give him a chance to build the squad. And yeah, so hopefully that's probably one thing that's keeping him up. Well, not hopefully that's one thing, but that is probably one thing that's keeping him up at night, I would imagine. But yes, it's dire. We're crap. We can't score. That's finished the season. Move on.
Well, Steve, thank you very much for joining me on game day. Our regular therapy session to talk about another terrible game of football. This time, a 3-0 defeat at Northampton. I didn't think it could get any worse. Probably when we last spoke, I probably said that as well. But it's got worse. And Northampton, they're fighting for their lives, and they just got 3 points, 3 goals. And yeah, your thoughts as ever, my friend.
Yeah, it's interesting you use the word fighting. I'm probably like a lot of Ipswich fans. I didn't think they could embarrass us anymore or anger us anymore, but it turns out they can. So, all credit to them because they're consistent. I'm not one for stats, really. The stats that matter are that we can't score goals. But I looked at half time and there were lots of shocking things. There was, efforts on target. We had none. They had 4. Completed crosses. Ours were woeful. But the worst one of all, which really stood out and will kind of set the tone for what I'm going to say, is that they had won 74% of the aerial battles. So there's a debate now, and I've had it with some friends of mine tonight, and it will be happening on the forums. Is Cook all he's made out to be as a manager? Because sure, his record's good, but look, he took over. We were, on the edge of the playoffs, and now we're drifting towards mid-table. So maybe we should bin off Cook because it's not just the players' fault. But that stat tells me that they are not trying, because you go there to a team who cannot buy a goal. We know that. Who are, they're fighting for their lives, but they're in the bottom 4 for a reason. And in a half of a game, that all of our players have come out and said, we just need to go on a run, and one win will kickstart us. And 3/4 of the time the ball goes up in the air to be won, they win it. And that tells me that this lot have down tools and are going through the motions. And yeah, we created some chances tonight. We hit the woodwork twice, but our crossing was abysmal. It was pub league crossing in that first half. And we got into position so many times. I could see why they've struggled, because their defence was wide open. But of course, being us, we give them a 2-goal head start, which allows them to then dictate the game, unroll the time wasting, unroll the sort of sitting deep, catching us on the break. We set it up for them. Ever since that good run at the start of the season came to an end, we've been an easy touch for teams at any point, top, middle, bottom of this table. We've been an easy touch, and we remain an easy touch as the season peters out. And it's got to the point now where if I was Cook, I would start bringing in more of the kids. So, for example, I said a while ago that I actually thought Keenan Bennett looked a bit of a prospect. I've changed my mind now, and he's useless. Okay, he gives the ball away so often. He makes bad decisions in the final third. We should not play him at all again this season. Armando Dobber should start ahead of him every single time. You look at the back 2 tonight. Wolfenden is our own player and a decent prospect, but you look at their second goal. You wind it back about 30 seconds before the corner. Northampton punt it forward. There's 2 of them against one attacker who's shorter than both of them, but they decide, well, we're not going to win it in the air because that's, agricultural maybe. We're going to wait, let it bounce and start a silky move. But they don't. They let it bounce. Their player wins it. They've pushed attackers forward. They win a corner. They score from it. Their third goal, so it's an absolute calamity of a goal. We kick off. What do? It ends up back at the feet of the goalkeeper who's just made a terrible mistake. No, give him a minute to compose himself, because within 10 seconds of us kicking off after conceding that goal, he's got the ball rolled to him with one of their attackers bearing down on him. It's brainless. We just play brainless football. And I'm getting to the point where, and I like to think I'm not a vindictive person, but I actively dislike these players now. Set aside, say, Kane Vincent-Young, Downs, our other young players that have come through the academy. The rest of them, I'm starting to hate them. And if they continue to play like that for the rest of the season, I will start, people say, when we get rid of them, forget them. No, I'm going to start following their careers if they keep playing like this. And I'm going to cheer every single time they lose, every time they get released without another contract. It's past, we're laughing because it sort of is funny. But they had it on a plate. Go back 6 weeks. They had a bit of momentum, easy fixtures. Look at the teams around us, look, Portsmouth, everyone's saying 3 weeks ago the Cowleys a miracle and the miracle workers, and they've lost 3 in a row. It was there. It's such an inconsistent division, but we can't even raise ourselves for that. So I don't want to hear any more interviews about, just one win and we could go on a run. We can't do any of the basics of the game right. We can't defend set pieces. We can't keep the ball. We can't convert chances. Can't create chances. And you look at that third goal, we can't even avoid playing clown football. So why does anyone think that one win, however fluky it was, would get us into the top 6? And, I'm disappointed that Cook hasn't had the impact that I hoped he would had. But there's a bit of history being rewritten here. You look at the little run of games that got us to the edge of the playoffs. Accrington is a red card that wins that game for us. I think if they stay at 11 men, we draw or lose that game. There was a home game. Was it Doncaster or Blackpool?
Hull City.
Hull away. I would say Hull away when we
Doncaster.
won was the only convincing performance since the turn of the year. So it's not like they were flying and then Cook's come in and they've gone awful. We were scraping some wins and now we can't even do that. But the season's over. That's the only good thing about tonight. We can stop dreaming, get to the summer, get rid of this bunch of wasters and chances, and let Cook have a transfer window and show us what he can do. And if this time next season we're in 11th after he's spent the Americans' money, sack him then. But to judge him now when he wouldn't maybe have chosen any of these players, Paul Lambert, this is the last thing I'll say. Paul Lambert says this week he left us in a good position. Oh, really? So when Paul Cook turns round to the bench behind him tonight when he's got to find a goal and his options are Aaron Drynan, whose one goal this season was a challenge that went in, and Ollie Hawkins, and he left us in a good place, did he? I don't think you did, Paul. Sorry.
Well, Nathan, thank you very much for joining me on game day. And can't see your face very much, but you were one of the few fans who were at the game today against Northampton on the hill. Yep. Great view, fanfare in the background, 3-0 defeat. A new low has been set. Your thoughts on that?
I was absolutely buzzing just to be able to see some kind of football again. And then watch Ipswich, what happens back, feeling as you normally do after watching Ipswich. It was poor, dire. I don't know what else to say. The players just didn't turn up. The 6 fans that were there turned up more than they did. Disgusting. I'll be surprised if Paul Cook don't rip into them because I'm just appalled. I don't know what else to say.
We won't talk about the game that much. What was the view like, and how did that sort of come about? You guys going to the game.
Yeah, we couldn't see one of the goals, but it didn't matter because we weren't really attacking much in the first half, so it didn't do much. My mate messaged me this morning. He said, look, if you want to go to the game, you can stand on the hill and get a bit of a view. I thought, I'll give it a go. I miss football, so I got my designated driver. Went up and you weren't too bad. It's just a shame we didn't really see much of Ipswich performing. But it's good to see some kind of football, even though it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah. So, are you on your way back now then?
Yeah, got straight in the car after 3-0. So, there's a couple there that left after the second. I don't blame them. It was terrible. I would have stayed till full time, but it was cold. Players weren't performing. I just had enough. It's one of them. But yeah, it was good to be able to say I've seen Ipswich play. Well, I wouldn't say play, but you get what I mean, because it was shocking.